All right, so for the people that are following along, I continue to come back and check out my Tegus content, my reptile, boa included. I just want to come back and make a video on this because I returned from my trip. I had to do a work trip for 4 days, and up to this time, I haven't been away from my reptiles. I have done some other jobs that required me to travel, but believe it or not, I took both my male and my female Tegus with me. That was about maybe 7 months ago. I had to travel about 5 hours away, and Tegus, Sassy and Mac were smaller, and I took them. I had to stay in a hotel. I photograph hotels and resorts. And so I had to travel to a hotel, and I don't disclose I have reptiles. If I took my dog, I'd have to disclose my dog. But I took my reptiles and I kept them in the bathroom, 7 or 8 months ago, and they managed just fine. I take a little portable heater with me and some a little pop-up tent for a small animal, and I put one in there, and I had a tub similar to a tub like this for Sassy because she was smaller, and they did very well. I mean, they had to go with me. I didn't want to leave them. And so I just had another plane flight, and this one was 4 days. And the most I typically would feel comfortable leaving my dog here at my house with a dog door and food and water, and she can go sleep on my bed. And the Tegus were here, I feel more comfortable 3 days, but 4 days was really, really pushing it. And this girl right here, let me pull Sassy out. Sassy stayed in here. Sassy stayed in this enclosure because she's less destructive, so I thought, and she is not able to climb out. And she sleeps more. She's female, and she sleeps more, and she's just a little less less chance of getting in and hurting herself. That's how I feel for her. She's a little easier to maintain in that regards, but I came home, so she stayed here in the cage, and I have the lights on a timer that heat her up and everything. But she literally destroyed her cage. I mean, this enclosure in here, she literally uprooted everything. She had the top off her. As you can see, she's a lot more squirmy. Sassy? She wants to go back in. But she literally took the top off her hide, which I have... it takes my strength to pull that top off, and it's heavy. But she flipped that over. She moved all the rocks, heavy rocks, all the limbs, and strewed them across where they weren't originally. She had dug holes everywhere and flipped over her water bowl. Literally the cage looked like a bomb had gone off. And so I came in here, and at first, I was shocked. And I didn't see her, and she was sleeping under the cover that she had flipped over, and she burrowed a little hole there, and she shed. And she shed all there, so all her shed was all strewn around the cage. So that was a little disturbing, but she's okay. And then Mac was in my garage. Mac is right here. Pull Mac out. They've been fed today and got plenty of moisture and water built back up into their systems. So Mac was in the garage. Mac apparently did pretty well. He worried me a couple times just because he wasn't moving around a lot. And he was just, because usually he's moving around a lot. And in the garage, he would just sit on the hide that I built first for this enclosure. And he would just sit out there on it for hours and not move. But it was really cool because my camera outside, 360 camera that I placed in the garage, has a microphone feature. And I would speak to Mac and turn up the volume, turn down the volume, and I could hear also too recording the sound in the garage, but I would talk to him from the microphone from, like 1,500 miles away, and I would just say things like, Mac, wake up, Mac, and Mac would look around when he would hear my voice. Now, I don't know, if he's really associating my voice, or he was just they had ears and they were hearing, and he was alerted to what was going on with the voice coming out of nowhere. But he heard my voice, and he would look at the camera, and he would key in and look at the camera, look away, and then I would speak again. He'd look back, and you could see his head moving around. So I don't know, we just don't know how, if he perceived it was me, and he heard my voice, and he was wondering where I was in there. But Mac did well. I didn't get to film anything because I was in such a rush to get in. I had so much to do. I had to feed the mice, and they had torn up their cages. In 4 days, these animals, they see me every day, on the hour, within the hour, even sometimes every 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they see me. I'm touching them, I'm hands-on with them. So for 4 days, they didn't see me, and they didn't have my touch, and they didn't have me wiping their hiney's and picking them up and pulling sheds and all the things that I do, and rubbing them and touching them and putting them on my shoulder. So I don't know, were they panicky? Possibly, but the mice tore up their cage, tore their water bottles down, and ran out of water. Everyone was out of water. And when I got home, just to update, I put both of my Tegus, obviously I fed my mice and refilled their water bottles. I put the Tegus immediately in the bathtub with warm water, shallow warm water. Sassy drank some water. Mac stuck his tongue in there and was apparently getting some water from his tongue, but didn't dip his head in there and take in some water and tilt his head back, kind of like a gator eats an alligator. But I'm assuming that they sucked in some water, and I fed them some fruit with more water content, and they're doing well. I was really worried for Mac, even though Tegus hibernate and go 4 or 5 months without drinking in the winter. Obviously they've changed their body inner workings to do that, but I was like, man, Mac can go. I would never make him do that, and so that was very bad on my fault that I left the water in here in the kitchen, and I didn't make the move for the water bowl to go in the garage. I just had a lot on my mind with this photography stuff and traveling. I've got so much on my mind, and I'm constantly thinking about 10 things at one time. So I would never intentionally leave his water bowl away from him, but I was, at the hotel, 1,500 miles away, going, he can make it 4 days. If they can go 4, 5, 6 months without water in the winter. But again, I'm glad. I was sweating and I wasn't sleeping well. I was thinking about him constantly, about not putting his water bowl out there in the garage, and at least him having access to that. And then Sassy tipping over her water bowl, which is not an easy feat in this enclosure. So I'm glad they're doing well. I'm going to report that. Mac is doing well, as far as I can tell, and Sassy is doing well and is growing and changing into an adult Tegu from where she was always kind of a baby. Mac has gotten bigger. Sassy is definitely a lot heavier. She's a lot heavier in the midsection than Mac is, and she's very spirited. Her name is Sassy, and very sharp nails, way sharper than Mac's nails. And she just wants to go back in her cage. But I'm happy to report everything's good. Man, glory be to Jesus that my animals are well and protected. I, give him all the glory. They could very easily get up and damage the lights. Mac is very aggressive when it comes to getting out of the cage and batting at the lights, and he could hit one of these lights from these 100 to 250 watt lights, and it could start a fire without me being here, to smell smoke or come in here and hear a crash sound, which Mac does all day long. I hear crashes and smashes, and I walk in here, but I'm able to deal with it quickly and address the situation. So for from 4 days away, I'm glad a fire didn't happen. It's just so much can go wrong, and I know that. So nothing went wrong, and I'm very happy to report that they're doing well, and I'm so excited to be back home. I don't have another trip for about a month. And then I'm still just going to have to try to work out what I'm going to do with the Tegus, where I can try to cut my flight short and at best keep it just 3 days instead of stretching it out to 4 days. So other than that, thanks for tuning in. Check back for more videos, and definitely hit the like button if you liked it, and this just shows me that I'm making good content for y'all. And it also, maybe it can share it with more people, and I can get some more viewers. And other than that, thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.